everybody. I just did a video on how to use Google Jamboards, which are sort of like a collaborative whiteboard that you can use online. So I wanted to do a video to investigate the Zoom whiteboard options that are available. So let me share my screen, and we'll start by logging into Zoom and looking at the settings. That's where a lot of these videos on Zoom start because they're important and you've got to check them. Okay, so I apologize for all my tabs and all the mess as usual. But if you go into your Zoom profile and go to your settings, you want to scroll down, and then this is the section that is going to be important for us. When you get to screen sharing, you always want to look through this and make sure it's what you want for your class. It might change on the class, it might change depending on the activity, but there's a lot in here to dig into, and so please make sure that it's what you want for your classes. So for screen sharing, you can decide whether only you are able and have permission to share your screen, or if you want students to be able to do that. That's something that you want to think about depending on your class and your students. So annotation is another important one that will come up in a minute. So this allows participants to use annotation schools to add information to shared screens. So if they want to pick up a drawing and then annotate it to draw on top of it and share that with others, then that allows them to do that. You can decide if that's something you want. This is the important one for this video, is the whiteboard. So before, mine was not enabled and it didn't show up as an option. So for whiteboard to be available, you've got to make sure it's enabled, make sure that it's on. And then it should show up as an option in your Zoom. I'll show you in a moment. If you want to save the whiteboard content when you're done, then you can do that as well. So yeah, make sure in your settings that's enabled, and then you just got to open up a Zoom meeting. Do that however you usually do. For me, I usually open up a new tab and then type in my personal meeting ID and let it launch from there. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. And yeah, apologize for the mess again. Let's see. So we're here. Now you're going to go back here. You'll be sharing your screen. That's how you're going to get to the whiteboard. You'll be sharing it as a screen. So when you share screen, it should come up as an option now. So you have your desktop, you have this other tab that I have open. Now it should say whiteboard as one option. So you'll click on that. And so this is the whiteboard that will be shared with participants or your students as they're viewing this video, just as they would look at your screen that you're sharing with them. And you can look through the options here. So I have the drawing thing open right now. There's different sizes that it can be. So that's a really thin pencil, it looks like. This one is a line, sort of like MS Paint, where you can make the lines and the shapes. The shapes are here. This is a square. I think this is a thicker marker, more like a highlighter. You can change the color by going over to Format here. So if I want it to be blue or if I wanted it to be black, the Format option is what you do. So text is a text box. So if you want to actually type something in, you can do that. Going to Select, I think, allows you. Okay, it allows you to move any of the stuff around, which is really helpful if you want to move this stuff over here. Stamp, looks like there are just a few options here. Arrow, star, heart, check mark, whatever, question mark if you're working on something and you want to add a question mark if something you're not sure about. I believe you can also change the color of those. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. I haven't played with this as much. Okay, so stamp appears to just be the colors that it is. So red there, green there, blue arrows. Okay, so spotlighting something. I think this is sort of like the laser pointer option in Jamboard, where you can kind of highlight that something is there. It doesn't really leave a trail, but it kind of like, it's like your cursor. It puts attention on it if you're talking about it. Or you can use arrow, where, especially if you're working collaboratively, with, if it's a whiteboard that you're allowing students to also annotate, that was in your settings, I believe, then you can sort of click on something you're talking about and say, this is the thing that I want to talk about now. This is my favorite part. And it'll have your name there so that you can indicate where on the screen you're talking about. You can erase. Oh, it erases the whole thing. I didn't realize that. So that may or may not be what you want, rather than erasing part of it. Oh, it erased the whole thing. Okay, well, that's important to know. Yeah, formats where you just pick the size and the color of something, and then you can save it. I believe clear will clear everything. Clear all drawings, clear my drawings, clear viewers' drawings. Okay, you have some options there. Yeah, and I think you can save it when you're done. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I want to share one other annotation option. Rather than a whiteboard, I'm going to stop sharing. Rather than a whiteboard, if you have an image that you want to work on and annotate, then it's really easy to do that as well. You've got to open the image from your desktop. So here I just have a little JPEG of an otter. Let's say we want to color that in together. You have to have that open. So I have that open in the corner. And then when I share screen, that's also an option. So you can click that. And then once that is shared, if you go to annotate, I believe you should be able to see. Again, sorry, it's messy because I have other stuff going on this screen, but we have the drawing there, and then if you click annotate, yeah, there we go. That same window of options pops up. So you can still draw on this drawing here. You can erase, you can stamp, but on the drawing itself that you've just opened rather than a whiteboard that's blank. So should work the same way. I hope that was helpful. I'm gonna get out of this Zoom meeting and go back to this other window so that I can stop presenting. Yeah, I hope that was helpful. I just wanted to show you how to enable it for yourself and then how to open it so you can play around and see if it's useful for you at all. Make sure to check your Zoom settings and then try it out. Let me know if I can help. Bye.